very special recipe I wanted to bring you guys today. These are South Pole caramel slices. And yes, I had these at the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station in the summer of 2015. Our summer baker was named Jenn. We all just called her Jenn the Baker affectionately. She runs Birchgrove Baking in Montpelier, Vermont, and I highly recommend you check that out because her molasses cookies and peanut butter brownies and absolutely everything are amazing. But she shared this recipe with me to share with you guys because we ate this quite frequently because these were the ingredients that she had on hand to be able to make dessert for 150 people, literally at the bottom of the earth. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop into the kitchen. I'll explain to you why she had to make this so much, but this was a nostalgia bomb for me, and this is actually a really delicious recipe. Let's go ahead and get started. To begin this recipe, add a stand mixer fitted with the paddle attachment. We're gonna put 3 sticks of softened butter. Then we're gonna add 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar and 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Again, I'm using my Alaska vanilla salt here, but you can just use ordinary salt. And we're just going to beat that on high until all of this gets fluffy and creamed together. Your mixture should look like this, which is basically buttercream icing. We're going to add in 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, which that was way more, but again, I don't really care when it comes to vanilla. There's not really a way to add too much. And now we're going to put in 500 grams of all-purpose flour, which is about 3.5 cups. And once again, we're going to beat this together until a smooth dough forms. Eventually your dough will come together into a solid, soft, almost like cookie dough or Play-Doh textured mass here. We're going to take 750 grams of this over to the baking pan. There should be some leftovers of this, and you want to make sure you leave that reserved leftover behind because we're going to use it to make a streusel that goes on top of this as well. In a 13 by 9 inch baking pan, we're going to line it with parchment paper so we can lift these squares out later. And we're just going to take this dough and we're going to evenly distribute it and press it in to make a sheet here. And if you have a glass, that can be quite useful. This is my, just to, my humble brag proof. There you go. That's the winter over glass from the 2016 winter at the South Pole. So I'm not just like some of these people on YouTube BSing you. And we're just going to press this until this gets a completely flat sheet. And then we're going to take this and we're going to chill this in the refrigerator while we make the filling. So this is the amount of dough you should have left over. Now we're going to add about another 1/4 cup of flour. And we're just going to continue to mix this. And we should get, in this version, a nice streusel crumble that'll go across the top. And there you go. That is a perfect crumble that will go across the top of our caramel slices. To make this filling, we're going to get a heavy bottomed pot. We're going to melt a stick of butter. We're going to put in 2 tablespoons of corn syrup. So you might ask yourself why we had this so much. And it's because in Antarctica, and especially at the South Pole, even more than McMurdo or Palmer, you kind of have to make do with what you have. And flights are so irregular that you never know, an ingredient you may need may not be there. And so you just kind of figure stuff out. And that particular summer, we're going to put in now 1/2 cup of brown sugar. And that particular summer, we got a ton of sweetened condensed milk. And Jenn was like trying to figure out what she was going to do with all of this. And so now we're going to put in 2 cans of sweetened condensed milk. And so, yeah, this is how this was born. And this is why we had it so much, is she kept thinking of ways to try to use so much sweetened condensed milk. And this recipe managed to use a lot of it because she's cooking for, 150 people every day. So, all right, I'm going to get this in and bring this back to a simmer, and I'll show you guys what that looks like once this is all combined. I've got the mixture incorporated, and if I let it sit still, it'll start to bubble, but you're going to want to continue to stir this and cook this on the stovetop
for about 10 minutes, and this mixture should thicken and get quite a bit darker here. Just wanted to show you guys how thick this gets, and you can see it's already darkened up quite a bit here. We're still in sort of a light blonde caramel, so I want to get this a little bit darker, but you're going to want to watch this like a hawk and take it off heat right as soon as it gets to the right color so that it doesn't burn. This is right about where I want it, because we're going to now let this cool for 10 minutes while we preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is going to cook some more, obviously, when we add it to the pastry. So this is about the level of doneness I'm going to go with. And now we're just going to remove this from heat. We've let the caramel cool slightly, and now we're going to just pour that out. Look at how nice and thick that is. We're just going to get that all across the top of our chilled pastry dough here, and then get it spread evenly across the top. There we go. I've got the caramel spread all over our pastry dough, and now we're just going to sprinkle that wonderful streusel all over the top of this. Look at how beautiful that looks already. It's not even baked yet. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven for 20 to 30 minutes. Really, you want to keep an eye on it, because as soon as this caramel starts to bubble and the streusel browns a little bit, then it's done. If you leave it in for too long, it'll turn into a rock and harden to basically being like caramel candy, which you don't want. You want this to still remain nice and gooey when you bite into it. This just came out of the oven, and look at how beautiful this looks. You can see this is a nicely browned streusel. You can also see how much the caramel has darkened in the oven. So this only took exactly 20 minutes for me. So like I said, keep an eye on it and make sure you're pulling it out at just the right time. Now we need to let this cool all the way back to room temperature before we cut it or remove it from the pan. I went ahead and trimmed the edges around the caramel squares, and now we're going to go ahead and cut one out so I can show you guys what they look like here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at this. Look at that layering. That is just perfect. The caramel darkened up, but it's still nice and soft. And the pastry is cooked at just the right amount with that wonderful crunch across the top. This is just so nostalgic. I cannot wait to just eat one of these as soon as I'm done filming this. So check this out. Thank you so much, Jen, for giving me this recipe. And thank you for allowing me to share it with the world. Please check out Birchgrove Bakery in Montpelier, Vermont. If you're ever passing through, or if you live there, you will not regret it. I love her molasses cookies as well as her peanut butter brownies. And everything I've seen on their Facebook is just so amazing. So check those out. If you'd like to see more Antarctica recipes, I have many more chef friends, and I'm sure they'd be happy to share. But I just wanted to give a little piece of something that you probably wouldn't see in a lot of the YouTube documentaries about what it's like to live down there. All right, guys, I'll see you at the next video.